you can sort of question. Okay, so this is the lecture that I'm sharing with you right now, Modernism Part 2. Okay, see, I have written this important sort of, what should I say? It's a sort of a beginning, two phrases. Okay, two phrases. This is the beginning of a very famous novel by E.M. Forster. Okay, E.M. Forster was a British novelist. The novel is titled Howard's End, and at the beginning, the preface, Forster writes these two wonderful words: "Only connect." Okay, so what is connect? Connect is, you have to just put a connection. Okay, so whenever you are reading literature, uh, whenever you are thinking about something, you just need to connect. That is, you just need to fill out the dots. Okay, and you can see the three dots which is there after only connect. The three dots, 1 2 3, these three dots, in these three dots you can put the entire world of meanings. Okay, you can just write everything just in these three dots. Only connect, say, only connect with the world, only connect with the text, only connect with yourself, only connect with etc etc etc. Okay, so is it clear? So being a student of English honors, you just have to connect whatever you are reading, whatever you are seeing, whatever you are hearing, whatever you are thinking, and whatever you are experiencing, you just need to connect. Okay, so this is what modernism is also about. You have to just connect, you have to just uh, you have to just think, okay, what's happening. So last class I discussed about what is modernism. Okay, so once again, a sort of recapitulation. It's about a narrative technique, okay, which is different from what we have, what we have used to, what we used to have read in the past. Is it a narrative technique? Okay, it's a sort of a challenge to realism. Okay, challenge to realism is, you are sort of, uh, not sort of extreme realism, okay, but a sort of inverted realism, as we had seen in last classes, Salvador Dali's paintings. Okay, the swans, if you remember, and there was the picture of the swans on the top, and inversion is they look like elephants. Okay, so challenge to realism, the way the character is portrayed. Okay, you get a sort of psychological tensions in the character in the novels. Okay, just I don't know what novel you have read in your in the recent days. If had I seen you face to face, I would have asked you. But let's just assume that, suppose you read a novel of uh, say Charles Dickens. Okay, the character, the psychology of the character, the way it is depicted. And if you read a novel of, say, say uh, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. Okay, if you have read it, or if you have read, say, Joseph Conrad's any novel, you would see a difference in the portrayal of the character psychology. Okay, more and more the modernists try to think deeply about what is happening in the mind of the character, because the mind is very important, what you are thinking inside, because you oftentimes do not express what you think. So it's a sort of inward journey. Okay, always remember that the modernist fiction is an inward journey, the character's mind, the thoughts, okay, the consciousness, that what which we cannot feel, or what which we cannot sort of elaborately discuss openly about. Suppose if I ask you the same question, that so and so, X, Y, or Z, just say me what you are feeling now. Okay, just write what you are feeling now. Okay, how would you write? Okay, suppose my name is Sunayan Mukherjee. Okay, very good, fine. I am Right now I'm thinking about the trees. I'm thinking about the wind that is blowing outside, the sun which has not come up. The mood is very dull. The mood is very glum, and suddenly I say that on this kind of days I remember that on this kind of days I remember about my time as a child when I used to come back after school, and I used to miss my friends who would never go out to play with me. Okay, this is a sort of reflection which comes after seeing this sort of bad weather. Okay, or I can write that on this kind of days I remember the moment, that the time I used to the time when I lost my so and so relative or so and so dear person. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go inside, deep inside my mind. If I am a writer at this point of time, I would write with this kind of technique, okay, about a character, unlike the technique used by the Victorians, okay, when they were writing the novel, because they were only essentially describing about the situation, okay, that suppose Mr. X works in a factory, he goes to the office or he comes back home, and this is the sort of time, okay, but not the interior monologue of what Mr. X used to think when he goes to the factory. Okay. Linearity of plot construction is not there. Okay. The styles and breaks. There is no linear. What is linear? In a straight line? Okay. You do not see a straightforward narrative. One, two, three, four. One follows two, two follows one is followed by two is followed by three. So there is no such of linearity, but there is a gap, the break, the disjuncture. Okay, suppose I'm writing about now when I'm talking to you, and the next line I'm writing about my past when I first learned how to talk, and third line in the future when suppose I will not be able to speak as fluently as I am. So this is the sort of breaks or the patterns. Okay, any sort of modernist novel will focus on these shifts in these patterns, in these breaks that are happening. Okay, because the form is not constant. Okay, and the continuous self-referentiality, this is what I have said is a term. Self-referentiality is sort of, whenever you are reading a work, you would understand that the work, the text speaks to itself. Okay, very difficult to understand. For example, if I say that if I am telling you to write about yourself, what I have said, okay, whenever you are writing about yourself, what the little details that you are feeling, at every time you are a character, someone else is reading that, he would understand that this writing is not exactly a writing, okay, but it's a commentary which talks about how you are writing about the writing. Okay, very difficult, I'm once again admitting. Let us not jargonize these things very much. Okay, let us, for all I'm trying to say is, when you become conscious of an action, for example, if I ask you that uh, in a very layman's expression, once again, if I ask a boy, just go and say that you like that girl. Okay, and if the boy becomes conscious of this, that okay, now I am going out, now I have to say to her that how much I like her, this entire act becomes self-referential, because you are becoming conscious of what you are trying to do. Okay, this is a sort of characteristic phenomena of modernist writing, that is, it becomes self-referential. Okay, the writing becomes a critique of writing. Okay, so this is a style and the break. The textual criticism, what involves is the point of view. Okay, as E.M. Forster in his book The Aspects of the Novel had said that the modern novel, there are the different points of view. There is the third person narration, which is very important. Okay, that is you do not see a sort of clear cut analysis of the character, but a sort of different elusive way of referring to the character. There are the round and the flat characters, and the stream of consciousness technique. Okay, The stream of consciousness technique, which involves flashbacks, time shifts, time as a mosaic of images. What I've said right now, the stream of consciousness. Okay, that is, you see that this is a term which was used by William James. Okay, he says that the mind is like a stream of ideas. Okay, uh, think very deeply about this. That at this point of time, say 20th February at 12:25 p.m., if I ask a student, say X or Y, what exactly are you thinking at this point of time? Okay, he or she will answer that, sir, right now I am thinking about when the class will get over. Okay, and I will go out and meet my friends. Then I will have my pizza. Then I will go to meet so and so. Then I will come back. So is there one single idea at a particular point? No, there can never be any one sole idea, one sole thought. Okay, but rather, if thought is like a stream, okay, that is which always flows continuously. There is no sort of, the water never stops, but it flows on and on and on, and in that stream our ideas are floating continuously. So there is no one sort of particular idea which is there at one point of time, but rather our mind has an amalgamation or a mixture of ideas which are happening on and on and on, and it's very, very difficult to sort of pinpoint or accurately say we are this, we are that, we are thinking this, we are thinking that, because it never happens. Okay, so the stream of consciousness technique, which is also a very, very significant part of modernist fiction, okay, which you would read with James Joyce, which you would read with with Virginia Woolf, okay, in their works. So we would come to this later on as well. So the chief exponents of this form, of these techniques, were Fyodor Dostoevsky, the great Russian novelist, Gustave Flaubert, the French novelist Henri James, okay, the English novelist James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, Joseph Conrad, okay. And among the poets, there were Charles Baudelaire, Arthur Rimbaud. He was a very, very rebellious poet, rebel figure in the French poetry. Okay, Arthur Rimbaud, Jules Laforgue, same, the French poet. Okay, Jules Laforgue, T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound. Okay, they are the English ones. T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound, T.E. Hume, and W.B.E.S. Okay, they are the poets. So modernism, okay, involves the techniques. Among the techniques, we are discussing the techniques right now. Okay, so what we have discussed so far is there was a break in the pattern, the interior monologue, the stream of consciousness for the prose form, and now in the poem, in the poetry, we have a sort of different techniques as well. And one of the most important technique is the symbolism, the use of the symbolism. So there was this symbolist movement. Okay, the symbolist movement, what does symbolism say? That in poetry, modernism was the influence of symbols which dominated the poem. Now imagine, what is a symbol, by the way? Okay, so if I ask you that what is a symbol, what would you say? That symbol is a representation of something else. For example, if I say that, if I use the symbol of, say, a dove, okay, you would say that the dove is the symbol of peace. Okay, uh, that's right, absolutely right. If I use the symbol of, say, the charkha, okay, the charkha, as Gandhiji used to, Gandhiji made the charkha the symbol of Swadeshi movement. Okay, that is, the charkha is the symbol of what our prime minister calls now the Atma Nirbhar. Okay, that is, you are self-reliant. You are producing things on yourself. So these are all symbols, and poetry suddenly shifted from being a sort of medium or vehicle of expressing sort of clear-cut ideas. It's changed from that to a sort of symbolist reading or symbolist vehicle, okay, of conveying ideas. And what is that? It is the symbolists who believed in indirect expression, reverie and inspiration, uh, which had much in common with the aesthetes, and also viewed art as an escape from the grind of human reality, not a reflection of or on life, but a step back from it. This is very important. Very important. Why? Because the symbolists believed that art should not convey the reality, but it should step away from reality. It is a sort of escape from reality. Okay, and for that we need to use a lot of symbols in the poems. Okay, what is this term escape from reality? That is, uh, our task as a poet should not be to define or should not be to explain the world in our poems, but we should try to paint the world in a different color, okay, through our poems. And we should try to escape from reality. If you remember Vincent van Gogh's famous painting, that which is there in the poster which Dipayan had done, okay, for this program, the poster about Vincent van Gogh's the Starry Night. Okay, in that Starry Night, why is it so famous? Do you think those those circular yellow balls which were there in the sky, does it represent stars? No, we have not seen stars in that way. Okay, but Van Gogh said that when he saw the night, the stars one day from his window at the asylum chamber in which he was there, to him the world seemed like that particular sort of representation. Okay, he depicted the stars in that way, huge balls of fiery like structures, fiery like figures, and that sort of symbol, that sort of representation transcended the immediate reality around. It was not the real which he painted, but a sort of stepping back from the real. Okay, that was not the exact real, but sort of real, and that is what hailed it as a modern painting. Okay, so this was a symbolist movement. Okay, uh, this is a very famous poem by Charles Baudelaire, okay, which talks about the role of symbolism. Okay, if we read the poem, what does Baudelaire say? That nature's a shrine where living columns stand, and now and then breathe a confounded phrase. Confounded is confusing, which has not got clear meaning. So nature is a shrine. You know what's a shrine? Shrine is a temple. Nature is a shrine where living columns stand, and now and then breathes a confounded phrase. So in every nook and corner of nature, we get to see a sort of confounded phrase. Some some images, some things which have got no such clear-cut meaning. Man wanders there amid a forest land of symbols. Man wanders there amid a forest land of symbols. So all around us there is this forest of symbols, followed by their intimate gaze as long drawn echoes blend from far away, together into dark, deep unison. Okay, followed by their intimate gaze, man follows those symbols as long drawn echoes blend from far away, together into dark, deep unison. as vast as night and like the light of day, colors, sounds, and perfumes respond as one. So, colors, sounds, perfumes, they are like the vast long nights or the light of the day. There is no such end to it. We don't know where it begins, we don't know where it ends, but it's a sort of a mystery. There are scents fresh as flesh of any child, meadow green, mellow as an oboe tone, and others rich, corrupt, triumphant, wild, expanding like the infinite alone. Look at the word infinite. What is the infinite? The scents, the colors, the light, and it's some of the images can be rich, some can be corrupt, some can be triumphant, but everything, the world is nothing but a combination of images, a creation of images, like ambers, musks, and orient, frank incense that sing the ecstasies of soul and sense. So all these images, all this incense, all these sort of wonders of the world, they talk about the ecstasies of soul and sense, ecstasy, the joy. So you have to feel the joy all around you. So, and this, the world of symbols, if you see the world through these symbols, you can feel the joy all around. So see this poem by Ezra Pound. It's a two-line poem. Okay, in a station of the metro, rich with symbolism, the apparition of these faces in the crowd. We all take the metro, the suburban trains. There are a lot of people who comes in and goes out. So the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bow. Finished. The poem is over. What can be the essential meaning of these two lines? This is what is all about symbolism. Petals on a wet black bow. Okay. There can be 1,000 interpretations of these two lines. We don't know. And the interesting part is all of these interpretations can be hailed as a new interpretation of the poem. That is the beauty of this modernist fiction. That is the beauty of modernism. Because, as I said, that if you try to grasp a fistful of sand, it slips out. Similarly, is this interpretations of modernism. There is no one fixed meaning, but 1,000 different meanings, and all the meanings are true in its own way, one way or the other. So, just if possible, at home, read this poem once again. In a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bow. Okay, this is by Ezra Pound. Okay, Ezra Pound gave the very interesting call to modernism, saying, "Make it new." Okay, make it new. What did he mean by this term? Make it new. What is newness? Newness is nothing but what we had discussed so far: break, gap, disjuncture, something of a radical new images which we have not seen so far. So, in a station of the metro, uh, what Ezra Pound had discussed was the use of imagism, images. Imagism comes from the word images. Okay, and he wrote a very famous manifesto called the Imagist Manifesto. Okay, and see what he says, that the emphasis was always on precise and concrete presentation without excess wordage. Okay, precise and concrete images which would be small, images which would be sharp, which would be exactly what it tries to mean. There should be no extra words, there should be no extra lines, but the effective medium should be to be precise and concrete presentation without excess wordage. The idea of the image, influenced by the Japanese haiku and tanka as well as French symbolist poetry, summed up the Imagist's preference for concision and compression. Okay, so the Imagists always believed in concision and compression. What is concision? Is you have to use very minimum amount of words, and compression is you have to pack those 3 or 4 lines. Haiku is a 5 line poem, but in this 5 lines you have to pack a full baggage of meanings, okay, which would be totally different as per the interpretations. So the symbolist poetry focused on concision and compression, and as Pound wrote in his memoir of 1916, the image is a radiant node or cluster. It is a vortex from which and through which and into which ideas are constantly rushing. Have you seen a vortex? Vortex is in Bengali, which we say a ghurni. Okay, that is a sort of swirl of water current. Okay, circular pattern. If you see a hurricane, the circular clockwise and anti-clockwise movement of the wind creates a vortex. Okay, so Pound says that image is like a vortex. Okay, from which, that is from the vortex, and through which, through the vortex, and into which, that is in the movement goes inside the vortex, ideas are constantly rushing. New ideas are coming always, every time we use these images. Okay, it's like a sort of a vortex. Let us read this very famous poem by T.S. Eliot. Okay, why am I giving you these little bits of poems and informations? Because you are right now in UG first year, so you have to gradually get a taste of the poets and the novelists or the rich literary works that lies in waiting for you. Okay, when you go up to the higher classes. Okay, in the second year, in the third year. Okay, so and beyond that as well, when you would resume your reading after your usual curriculum exercises get over. Okay, you have to continuously come back to these figures, and one of them is T.S. Eliot. Okay, the famous poet who of the 20th century, who redefined the way of how poem should be written. Okay, he was T.S. Eliot. So this is a very famous poem by T.S. Eliot, who writes the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Just read this. This is I have taken the first stanza of this poem. The poem starts something like, "Let us go then, you and I." Okay, it's a sort of in medias res. Okay, without a proper beginning, you are just suddenly you are suddenly pulled inside a conversation. Okay, have you read a poem like this before? I'm sure you have not, where the poem starts off something directly. Let us go, as if let is a sort of conclusion to an argument that we had already had earlier. Okay, let us go. Fine, everything is over. So now let us go. Let us go then, you and I. When the evening is spread out against the sky. Just see how he uses the line. Evening is spread out against the sky. You spread out a sheet of paper on a table. Just feel the image, what we discussed so far, the imagism, the vortex of ideas. When the evening is spread out against the sky. And how is the evening spread out? The third line comes as a jolt, like a patient etherized upon a table. Okay, just imagine the wheelchair. If you see the wheelchair in which patients are driven in and out of the hospitals. Okay, this poem reminds us of the World War I affected soldiers who used to lie on on the stretcher as a patient, like a patient, etherized upon a table. What is ether? Ether is used to make the body unconscious for an operative purposes. So a patient unconscious on a table, just like that, the evening is spread out against the sky. Wonderful, isn't it? Now if you see an evening, would you be able to associate that with a patient? You might be able to associate the evening with something else. For example, if you see a red evening, you might be able to say that this sort of evening makes me feel that it's the time when there is a lot of destruction going on around. Okay, so that sort of an evening you might feel, or an evening when, as I said, that it would take you back to your childhood days. Okay, when you had the first cricket match victory, the sky would be like this. So this is a sort of imagery which Eliot invokes, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half deserted streets. Now, look at the word half deserted. Deserted is empty. But what is half deserted? Half empty. So, half deserted has a sort of beautiful vision on its own. Let us go through half deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one night cheap hotels. Restless nights in one night cheap hotels. There is a sort of restlessness in the poem. And how is he comparing this going with all these activities which we read now? And sawdust restaurant with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument. If you are going walking along a street one after the other, one after the other, it seems like a tedious argument of insidious intent. Insidious is lackluster, without any meaning. Insidious intent. Intent is intention. So you don't know the meaning of those arguments, the meaning of those everyday activities, until it lead you to an overwhelming question. Okay, the time taken to ask that question, you are doing the actions one after the other. For example, if I say that you wake up in the morning, you go to the toilet, you do your you wash yourself, you look at yourself in the mirror, and then you take your breakfast, and then you prepare to come to the college, you do the classes, you meet your friends, you take the bus or the tram to your home, you meet your family members, you eat, and then once again when you go to the toilet to brush your teeth at the night, you see the mirror. And at that point of time, if you happen to ask yourself the question, what did I do, what did I do the entire day? So the point of asking this question, and then suddenly your realization will say that it was a sort of ordinary day. Maybe you got an answer for that day, but if you ask instantly, but how is my yesterday different from my today? Then you will perhaps once again feel that yes, it's true, my yesterday was also like my day before yesterday, and the day before yesterday was similar like the previous day before yesterday, and so on and so on and so on. So suddenly you would feel an urge, oh my god, so what am I doing? Okay, what will I do tomorrow? Will I follow the same routine? So till the question comes to your mind. Okay, I'm sure I'm not shocking you, or I'm not sort of making you feel crazy. Believe me, I'm not trying to do that. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make you feel the contagion, or the sort of a disease which should bug you. Okay, which should make you feel that how you are different from the others around. Okay, so what Eliot is trying to say is that same question, to lead you to an overwhelming question. But before the question comes, oh, do not ask, please, please, please do not ask what is it, but let us go and make our visit. Okay, let us just go there, let us just go and make our visit. So do you think that this is a sort of this is a sort of newness in expression? Yes, obviously it is. It's not like what you have read so far in your romantic poems, okay, of Wordsworth, of John Keats, okay, of P.B. Shelley, okay, uh, where there is a sort of expression of beauty, romantic languor, okay, waiting and everything. You feel yourself transported to a world of beauty and ecstasy. But what does the modern show? The modernists are saying that, look, there is no such sort of ethereal beauty which exists around us. But we are all waiting for that big question to come and haunt us in our life. What are we doing right now? Okay, because there is no such positivity or no such intent that is there around us. Okay, for the novels which I said, that the stream of consciousness technique, I had already explained that it's a narrative technique which the flow of myriad expressions, okay, so I'm not going into that now. The plot line may weave in and out of a time and place, carrying the reader to the lifespan of a character or further along a life timeline to incorporate the thoughts and lives of characters. Okay, so as you know, the stream of consciousness, and uh, uh, just see what Virginia Woolf says in this short piece over here. She says that life is not a series of jig lamps symmetrically arranged. Life is a luminous halo, a semi-transparent envelope surrounding us from the beginning of consciousness to the end. Okay, so life is not something which in which we can actually say it on a very easy way. Okay, uh, read this one as well. It's more simple than this one. It says that the mind receives a myriad of expressions. As I said, that there are a lot of impressions which happen all the time in your mind, trivial, that is which is insignificant, okay, fantastic, evanescent, which is always escaping you, or engraved with the sharpness of steel. From all sides they come as incessant shower of innumerable atoms, so you're bombarded with impressions. The best example of this is if you walk to find your way at Shialda station, or say at Guriahat Lake Market, okay, or you suppose go to any ordinary bazaar, okay, you'll be bombarded, okay, bombarded with these impressions. Okay, come and buy fish, come and buy vegetables, come and buy clothes, blah blah blah. So imagine you're always walking inside a marketplace. Okay, you are bombarded with innumerable atoms as they fall, as they shape themselves into the life of Monday or Tuesday. The accent falls differently from of old. The moment of importance came to here but there, so that if a writer were a free man and not a slave, if he should write what he chose, not what he must, if he should base his work upon his own feeling and not upon convention, there would be no plot, no comedy, no tragedy, no love interest or catastrophe in the accepted style, and perhaps not a single button sewn as on the Bond Street sailors would have it. Okay, what is she basically trying to say? She is basically trying to say that if we are if we think of life as a continuous bombardment of these impressions, then there would exist no comedy, no tragedy, no love interest. Why? Because everything is floating. There is no sort of unified whole, no sort of one single thought that's there in our life, but it's a sort of tapestry, it's a sort of patchwork. Just imagine that the clothes that which we wear, a shirt, is a shirt made of a single strand of cotton? No, it's a sort of tapestry. Okay, mix and match, mix and match, mix and match, fiber after fiber, strain after strain. So that is also life. But if we are looking at life in this way, then there should be no such one single idea of a tragedy or a comedy or a guiding force of life. Okay. So this is what Mrs. Wolf had said. I'm not saying you to believe this, okay, but just read her, because you have to. You will find her a sort of challenging figure in your later on honors syllabus as well. Okay, uh, so this is a very famous novel of Virginia Woolf titled "To the Lighthouse." I have taken just the first paragraph of her work, okay, and see how she begins. Once again, the beginning, the in medias res. It begins from the middle. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. If it's fine tomorrow, said Mrs. Ramsay, as if there was a conversation before. Yes, of course. If it's fine tomorrow, said Mrs. Ramsay. But you will have to be up with the lark. Up with the lark is you have to get up very early, she added. And whom did she say? To her son. These words conveyed an extraordinary joy. Okay. As if it were settled, the expedition they were bound to take place. And the wonder to which he had looked forward for years and years, it seemed, was after a night's darkness and a day's sail within touch. Okay. So the son of Mrs. Ramsay had imagined this expedition. Now, what is important is see this line. Okay, how she had written this line. Okay, since he belonged even at the age of 6 to that great clan which cannot keep this feeling separate from that, comma, very importantly, but must let future prospects with their joys and sorrows once again, comma, cloud what is actually at hand, comma, since to such people even in the earliest childhood any turn in the wheel of sensation has the power to crystallize and transfix the moment upon which its gloom or radiance rests, comma, James Ramsay, sitting on the floor, cutting out pictures from the illustrated catalogue of the Army and Navy stores, comma, endowed the picture of a refrigerator as his mother spoke with heavenly bliss. Okay. Why did I say it's very important? What is the use of these commas? The different ideas. There is all these different ideas are happening simultaneously inside the mind of James Ramsay. While his mother spoke these two lines, of course, if it's fine tomorrow, but you will have to be up with the lark. This is the interior monologue, the stream of consciousness. What you are thinking inside, what you are feeling inside. Okay. And this comma signifies that there is no such single linearity of thought, but an amalgamation of thoughts. Okay. This is once again a very famous opening of a portrait of the artist as a young man by James Joyce. Okay. What we have seen in Virginia Woolf, see how Joyce begins his novel. This is the narrative. Just follow the narrative. Okay. It's written from the point of view of a child. Okay. Who is a child? A baby who is born. Okay. And do you remember the time you were born? No, none of us can remember that. The time when we opened our eyes and saw the world, saw our mother. Our consciousness is not that strong enough to remember the moments which we had left a long time back. But if you as a writer, if you are trying to talk about that moment when you were a child, how would you write? Obviously, you have to take the point of view of a child. As a child, for example, when you were a class 4 or a 5 boy or a girl, how would you see a plane? You would say that, look, there is a plane. Okay. You would instantly feel a sort of excitement. Okay. Maybe some of you will even wave towards the plane and say goodbye, see you, happy journey, and so and so. But that same plane, if you see right now in your age of 20, 18 or 19 or 20, how would you feel? Oh, that's just a plane which is flowing, isn't it? Yes, you would feel the same. Why? Because that the plane has not changed, but your point of view of looking at the plane has got changed. Life has made you feel that a plane is driven by a sort of mechanical and engineering achievement of mankind. There is nothing new, nothing wonderful about the plane. But to a child, it's an act of wonder. A bird flies and so does a plane. So this is the difference which I'm trying to make you feel. And the modernists also believed that if you are trying to write about the experiences faced by, or the moment of your consciousness as a child, you need to adapt your writing to that style as well. That's what James Joyce is trying to do here in his A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. See how he begins. Once upon a time, and a very good time it was, there was a moo cow coming down along the road. And this moo cow that was doing along the road met a nice little boy named Baby Taku. Okay, so there was a moo cow. You always you see a cow in your mind. Okay, and Baby Taku, his father told him that story. His father looked at him through a glass. He had a hairy face. He was Baby Taku. The moo cow came down the road where Betty Barn lived. She sold lemon plat. Oh, the wild rose blossoms on the little green place. He sang that song. That was his song. Oh, the green wood behemoth. So the child remembers these nursery images, these songs. When you wet the bed, all of us used to pee on the bed when we were a young boy or a girl. So Joyce says the same thing. When you wet the bed, first it is warm, then it gets cold. Isn't it very interesting? First it gets warm because the warmth of the urine makes the bed warm, and then it gets cold. His mother put on the oil sheet that had the queer smell. His mother had a nicer smell than his father. She played on the piano the sailor's hornpipe for him to dance. He danced tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 dee, tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la. This is what modernist fiction is all about. The incorporation of the child's discourse, the child's way of speaking, the child's way of looking at the world, the child's way of appreciating the world, the child's way of thinking about the world. This is what the difference is. You would not find it in the writings of the earlier generation authors. But Joyce breaks the style completely. Joyce, in his unique way, tries to break the style and tries to incorporate the the voice in a different way, the point of view in a different way. Okay, this is the story, the portrait of the artist, the young James Joyce when he was a young boy. How would his father and mother behave and react? Perhaps you would perhaps come you would perhaps get to know more about him if you read his phenomenal books such as The Dubliners, which is a combination of short stories, and his masterpiece Ulysses. Okay, so I think it's clear to you that the point which I'm trying to make about the narrative pattern. Okay, next up we have a very important aspect of the modernist fiction is the representation of the banal, the everyday. The banal is that which is very mundane, which is very boring. Okay, what is banal? It is the antithetical experience of entertainment or pleasure. It is the ability of the soul to enjoy the aesthetic of ennui or boredom that surrounds everyday life. Okay, this the passages which we have read so far, that is Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse or James Joyce's The Portrait of the Artist, the writer is not preoccupied with the idea of depicting something beautiful, something which is sort of superior glory or vision or happiness, but something which is very boring, something which is very mundane, and the events which he describes are that connected with the mundane world. So the modernists are always trying to talk about the mundane, the banal, okay, the antithetical way of entertainment. So you used to read literature with the hope of getting excited, with the hope of feeling pleasure, with the hope of getting entertained, but the modernists, I'm sorry to say, will not entertain you but will make you feel more bored. Okay, so one advice that I can give to all of you is choose your readers very carefully, very wisely. Okay, uh, and choose your subject as well very wisely, because as you have taken, fortunately or unfortunately, English honors in your bachelor's program, I'm sure that it might have the same effect with you when you end the course. It might get you feel excited or it might get you feel utterly bored, depending on the point of view or depending on the perspectives that you will take while reading the piece of literature. Okay, so jokes apart, this was the banal, the representation of the banal. Let's read another famous poem. I'm trying to show the comparison between what is banal and what is the aesthetics. Okay, so if you have read the very famous poem by William Wordsworth titled "The Daffodils," okay, it, I have taken the beginning stanza basically, that I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over the vales and hills. How many of you have recited this poem as your nursery rhyme competition? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over the vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Okay, so basically the author, the poet is saying that he is feeling wondered by seeing these daffodils. Okay, the element of ecstasy, which I have already mentioned in the last slide, that the romantics were concerned with ecstasy and excitement. Besides the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So this was what Wordsworth had said in his Daffodils. But look at this poem by Ted Hughes. Ted Hughes, the famous British poet, had written this poem titled "The Crow." Okay, how many of you find the crow a beautiful bird? I'm sure you would say that, sir. What are you saying? A crow? But this is what the modernists are different. They see the crow as not just a bird, a beautiful bird, but a bird which essentially connects the earthly, the monotony, the mundane with that of the heavenly. A crow is a bird who is a sort of mediator between the divine and the man. And that's what Ted Hughes says in this poem. When God, disgusted with man, turned towards heaven, and man, disgusted with God, turned towards Eve, things looked like falling apart. It was a very serious problem. But crow, crow, this is the voice of the crow. Crow, crow. Okay, you hear the crow, but crow, crow. Crow nailed them together, nailing heaven and earth together. So, as I said, crow nailed heaven and earth together. So man cried, but with God's voice, and God bled, but with man's blood. Then heaven and earth creaked at the joint, which became gangrenous and stank, a horror beyond redemption. So there was a point in the time in the world when things turned gangrenous, that is, things became very sort of poisonous and it stank. The agony did not diminish. Man could not be man, nor God God. The agony grew, crow grinned, crying, "This is my creation," flying the black flag of himself. So, what was the agony? The agony is the world which perhaps God created for man, and the world which man changed, or man created for himself. There is a vast gap. But in that agony, the crow grinned. Grinning, if you know, you are smiling with contempt. The crow is grinning, crying, "This is my creation," flying the black flag of himself. So here, the crow as a symbol becomes equal to man's destruction. What man, what man, what man performs for himself, and the crow is grinning, saying that this is my creation. Look what I have done. Okay, so here man and crow have become one another. Okay, they are together. So this is a very famous poem, The Crow. Okay, the symbolism. And why I have used the crow to give you an example of the difference between the aesthetic and the banal, the mundane and the excitement. Okay, from Wordsworth to Ted Hughes. Okay, uh, a very short prose poem by Charles Baudelaire titled "The Joker." Okay, uh, and I would not take up much of your time. Just a couple of more slides or so. But I cannot pull myself back from sharing this with you. Uh, mm, just uh, keep aside your feeling of boredom for some more moments, because this is very exciting. Because the Joker, in what Baudelaire says, that uh, there was a New Year celebration which was going on in France. It was the explosion of the New Year, a chaos of mud and snow, crossed over by 1,000 coaches, sparkling with playthings and candies, swarming with greedy desires and despairs. So, just he's saying that there was a sort of celebration or merrymaking which was going on, and suddenly he sees a donkey. In the midst of all this bustle and noise, a donkey trotted along quickly, harassed by a lout armed with a whip. As the donkey was about to turn a corner, a fine gentleman, handsomely gloved, a fine gentleman bowed ceremoniously before the humble beast and says, "I wish you all health and happiness." Imagine a donkey going, walking along the road, and a gentleman saying, "I wish you all health and happiness," and then turned back with his 40th air to whomever were his comrades. Okay. But what's interesting is the last stanza. What does Baudelaire say? "The donkey never saw this splendid joker and continued zealously, trotting wherever his duty was calling him. As for me, I was suddenly seized by an immeasurable rage against this splendid imbecile who seemed to me the incarnation of the very soul of France." What is important is how he compares the donkey with the people who are all around him. The donkey moved on without any pleasure or excitement, and the people all around him, they are also not bothered with the sensory perceptions, with the world in which they were, but they were busy merrymaking. not probing inside, not looking at the world, the images all around, but they were continuing in their life. Okay, so this was the sort of aesthetics of disgust. Okay, aesthetics of disgust is you are not moved by that which is beautiful or pleasurable, but that which is very loathsome, which is very hateful, which you don't know how to look at. Okay, this is also a very famous poem by Charles Baudelaire titled The Carcass, and I'm not going deep into it. I'll just take you to one or two favorite lines. Okay, uh, the something like the poet talks about a carcass, the body of a woman who was lying on the road, and see its legs raised in the air like a lustful woman, burning and dripping with poisons, displayed with shameless nonchalant way, its belly swollen with gases. Now, if you have you ever come across a poem which describes the dead body, the belly swollen with gases, sun shone down from that putrescence is the gangrene, as if to roast it to a turn. Okay, and this is a uh, mm, another aspect of where the aesthetic idea of sublimity or the beautifulness is compromised. Okay, what Baudelaire is trying to say. Okay, and somewhere from this body, jackal is coming to seize some portion of the flesh. Crouched behind the boulders, an anxious dog watched us with an angry eye, waiting for the moment to take back from the carcass the morsel he had left. So there was a dog. But what's interesting? Why does he why does he use these images? Okay, he is saying to his beloved, yet you will be like this corruption, like this horrible infection, star of my eyes, sunlight of my being, you, my angel, and my passion. Yes, thus will you be queen of the graces after the last sacraments. What is sacraments? After you are dead. When you go beneath grass and luxuriant flowers to moulder among the bones of the dead, they know my beauty. Say to the worms who will devour you with kisses that I have kept the form and the divine essence of my decomposed love. So he's saying that do not be afraid, but one day you will also turn like this figure. You will also be kissed by the worms, my love. Okay, so this is what the idea of the subversion of the aesthetics. Okay, that's what is essential about the modernist fiction. Okay, uh, the aspects of the modern drama, you would read these famous dramatists later on: G.B. Shaw, Oscar Wilde, John Osborne, Ibsen, Arthur Miller. The prominent characteristics would be the same, the play of ideas, but in the drama it would be the depiction of realism, the contradiction of ideas, the history and biographic plays, the question of crisis, okay, involving the social, political, and the economic level happening all around. The idea of existentialism would come later on in the dramatists. Prominent among them would be Samuel Beckett, okay, then Eugene Ionesco, Eugene O'Neill, okay, and the idea that we are essentially living in a meaningless world, but the traditional ideas of knowledge, progress, truth exist no more. The world is more irrational, that there is no unifying holistic vision, rather reality is a mirage, and our existence centers around this broken world. So there would be the question of existentialism, the question of meaninglessness in the dramas that would follow, the question of delirium. Okay, if you read Waiting for Godot later on, uh, the characters Vladimir and Estragon, they are waiting for an imaginary character called Godot to arrive and rescue them, Eugene Ionesco's rhinoceros. So uh, the essential point. I have come to the very last one or two slides, and I have raised this question for you as well to think. So, do you think there is an escape? Do you think there is a way out of this situation? If so, then what is it? The modernists, the artists, essentially were trying to figure out the same in their works as well. Where is the escape? What does T.S. Eliot says in The Wasteland? Son of man, we are the son of man. Son of man, you cannot say or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images. You don't know anything. You don't know the completeness. You are only a fragment. Our existence is fragmented. A heap of broken images where the sun beats and the dead tree gives no shelter, the cricket no relief, and the dry stone no sound of water. So the dry stone gives no sound of water, there is no relief. Okay, there is no rain, no cricket. And Beckett says, they give birth astride of a grave. The light gleams an instant, then it's night once more. Okay, our existence is between the stride of a grave. Okay, they give birth astride. The light gleams. There is birth, and then it's night once more. Okay, so there is darkness all around. Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot. To conclude what I have said so far, though time forbids me to time demands me to conclude, but there is no such conclusion as such, because it's an ongoing process. We are still in the world of modernism, though some of them would like to talk it as postmodern, but I personally feel that it's a sort of high modernism. Okay, so let's not go into those details. To conclude, modernism therefore is a movement intrinsically rooted in the immediate. Okay, remember what we discussed in the last class, the immediate, from now to just now, in the social and political affects that control our lives. Affects, what is affects? Affects is the incidents, the social and political affects that control our lives. The modernists believed in experimentation in art, using music and literature, breaking away from the canon or tradition, giving way to freedom, independence to the self. So if modernism in one word can be talked about as a movement which is about experimentation in art, music, literature, breaking away from the canon, the tradition. And the predominant motive of decay, disease, death, the horror, anxiety, and futility are all a part of the greater ideologies that started in the second half of the 18th century and continues till date. Okay, so this is what the motive of decay, disease, death, futility. It started off as in the second half of the 18th century and continues till date. And modernism as a movement is a collaborative expression. So if you are asked to sum up modernism in one word, it is about a movement which is a collaborative expression of all these anxieties, traumas, anguish, and tries to look at it through different lens. Okay, so it's a sort of collaboration, the trauma, the anxiety. It is a symptomatic expression for the general condition of life in these times. Okay, it's a expression. If art is a medium of expressing the anxieties, the dissatisfaction which you feel, then modernism or modernist artists, they were trying to use these disturbing times. They were a product of these disturbing times, and through their art, it's a sort of therapy to come to terms with these disturbing times in their own way. So this is what I had managed to sort of put these ideas in a crux for you. Uh, so that was what I had felt so far. So my ideas, and I don't know whether it was fruitful enough for you, because since I could not see you personally, I could not understand from your expression how much you have understood, comprehended. Yet I have tried to do my best. It was a sort of daunting challenge which the principal ma'am and your dear teachers in the faculty college have entrusted me with, given me this responsibility. I have tried to fulfill that, and if you have any questions, you are welcome. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunayan, for your wonderful session. It was once again very enriching, and I am sure that the students have learned a lot. They can apply all this information while writing their answers, because today's session specifically dealt with texts related to the modern period. So they can definitely use this information in their answers. And you have explained it very clearly, giving so many examples that I'm sure they won't be having any doubt as such. But yes, definitely, if they are curious to know about something, then I'll request the students to put forward their queries in the chat box. Okay, if you want any explanation of a term or any specific author that Sir talked about, then you please put forward your queries in the chat box. And this time we expect responses from your side, so do not let us down. Yeah, so we have a couple of questions coming in. Okay, then I'll relay those questions one by one. Just a minute. I'll choose and say the questions. Okay, the first one is by Priya Singh. What is the relationship between industrialization and modernism?
Okay. The Priya, your question is very pertinent. Uh, the difference, if in one word, if I say that industrialization brought forward modernism. Okay, industrialization, as you know, that it is a way of production of commodities. Okay, what is industry? In an industry, we produce goods, right? And how do we produce goods? By combining a host of factors. What are those factors? Manpower or labor power, capital, then we have the entrepreneurship, the skills of the capitalists. Okay, and we have the wages. Okay, the distribution of wages which is given to the labor. So these four factors create the industries. Okay, the industrial revolution, which sort of started in the first half of not the first half, in the second half of the 18th century. Okay, it was a sort of way of producing commodities in a new way. Remember, earlier there used to be the production used to be very slow, but with the industries, mass scale production started, and people's way of life also changed dramatically. Okay, the way they used to look at nature, used to look at society, used to look at themselves, that also changed. So that ushered in a kind of a different way of thought among the people, which essentially brought forward the central tenets of modernism. Okay, as to borrow Karl Marx's idea that industrial revolution had essentially brought forward alienation. Okay, alienation is isolation. Man and machine, the relationship between man and machine was so uh, entitled to one another that man almost forgot the humanness, but rather associated with the machine. If possible, just watch the famous film by Charlie Chaplin, Modern Times, in which there is a scene where Chaplin enters inside the machine. That's the very interesting motive which he says. So, industrialization is a movement, is a process of economic production of goods, and modernism is the way in which we see the societal movement, the ideas that changed the essential way of thinking, and which made us feel look at the world in a different lens. So both are related to one another, and they are they work together. Industrialism has brought forward modernism. Okay.
Okay, then I put forward the next question. How might one change a romantic poem to a poem in the modern era?
Very good, very good. That's a very interesting question. Okay, wonderful question. So there is you can change a poem, a romantic poem, in turn the poem slightly and make it a modern poem. For example, if I say that. Suppose take Keats's line. I'm not saying you to change it directly, but when Keats says that my heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains, when he talks about the nightingale, okay, he talks about a dreaminess, a sensoriness, a world in which he is transported to the world of happiness. But what's important is Keats in that poem talks about disease, death, okay, old age. Take me to a world where there is no disease, no death, no old age. If you remember those lines. So Keats was also feeling the same problem of anxiety, the same problem of death, despair, but he could not express it directly all throughout his poem. Rather, he took the recourse of imagination to take him, to transport him out from the world of the real. Okay. But the modernists feel that one does not need to have those wings of imagination to transport. Rather, they would believe in encountering the everyday real, the horror, the gruesome, the banal, and expressing them in their own world, in their own words, without the fear of rejection, or without the fear of feeling left out. The romantics essentially conjured up this vision of a happy world because they were afraid to look at the dark side of it. But the moderns, they were not afraid to look at the dark side. Rather, they were enjoying the darkness all around. To give you a very famous, this is an this is what I have made up as an example to teach my students as well. Say there is a test match going on between India and England right now. Okay, there is a test match going. The romantics would feel that India is going to win the test match with their hope and positivism. Okay, the Victorians would feel that the Victorian age would feel that there is a sort of draw which can come. Okay, India and England, there is a possibility of draw. The modernists will believe that India is not going to make it. We are going to lose. Okay, we are going to lose the match. England will win the match. But so if you think it in this way, okay, the difference between the moderns and the romantics were just like the two sides of the same coin. Okay, one is extremely optimistic and the other is definitely on the brink of nihilism, because there is no such optimism all around to revel. Okay, so one can make a romantic poem into a modernist if one finds the strands of hidden thoughts, the lurking depression and the anxieties, which is very much there in the poems of Samuel Taylor Coleridge as well as in the poems of John Keats. Okay, which talks about the element of depression, which talks about the element of fear, anxiety in their poems. Okay.
Okay, then we'll move on to the third question now. Riddhi Jain is asking that, sir, it sounds like modernists believe in existentialism. Does that mean they don't believe in a bigger purpose through their writings?
Okay, once again, a very interesting question. Okay, bigger purpose. Okay, yes, That's what they are doing. They are writing because they believe that existentialism, if it questions about the meaning of existence, then through their writing they are trying to find the answers to this question of existence as well. Okay, and for that itself becomes a bigger purpose, to defeat the challenges, to defeat to defeat this question of meaninglessness, that we are trying to make up a meaning, we are trying to organize this world through our poems, trying to give it a sort of a form, a shape, or a figure, knowing very well that it's a sort of a futile existence, or it's a sort of meaninglessness. So again, if I use this example, it might sound a bit different, but for example, if you feel that no matter how much you try to make one understand, he or she will not understand and will stick to the same reason, but again you make the same effort. So that is the effort of the modernists. Okay, they are trying to rewrite, write, and give a meaning to the world, knowing that they are living in an existential world, but that's the only way of escape. Remember, I had said that where is the escape? So maybe they believe that that is the only way of escaping from this burden.
Okay, there is a related question which I saw in the chat box. This is by Sanchari Bhaumik. She's asking that what exactly did the modernist writers want to achieve through their writing?
Hmm.
So I think that is
Yes,
more or less answered.
yes, that's more or less the answer. Remember, always it's not the, it's, you should not be governed by what is the purpose, or rather you should be thinking about what is in what manner am I going to continue with this journey. Okay, the journey is more important rather than the purpose. So the modernists, they were deeply disturbed by the phenomena that were happening all around, but still they did not think that, okay, my mission is to sort of change this or challenge this. Rather, they were dwelling in the uncertainties, they were living in the uncertainties, and they were encouraged to go on in this journey to find an answer, not with the aim of finding the ultimate answer, but rather to enjoy the journey and explore the challenges that are coming across. Okay, so I hope, is it clear? Right.
Yeah, it is clear.
Yeah.
Now, there is a long question by Shubhanjana Mukherjee. She's saying that, sir, while explaining symbolism, you mentioned that art is an escape from the grind of human reality. But in most of the poems, like The Crow, The Joker, we see that the poets are delving deep into the complexities of human mind and portraying the daunting scenario of the society. Then, where is the escape from human reality?
Yes, yes, very interesting. See, by the Crow poem, you can see reality here in two different ways. Okay, one is the crow is, yes, definitely, he's the most common bird, the most significant real aspect that we find. Okay, as well as this is another way of making us feel that reality is not just about the eagle, but it is also about the crow. Okay, so Ted Hughes, yes, he has not sort of escaped much from reality. Rather, he had made it more real. But I was just trying to give you an example. But if you read the other poems of, say, T.S. Eliot, or say W.B.E.S, you would not find that they are expressing it in a direct real terms. So say this line is more appropriate, like escape from reality about edge a pound. Okay, like what I had shown in a station of the metro. Okay, though the title is in a station of the metro, but you would not find any reference to the metro people. The apparition of these faces, it can be anywhere, it can be in a market, it can be in a bus stand, it can be anywhere. So might be what you have rightly understood, that it's not an escape. Some for some artists it might be an escape from the reality, but for some artists it might be a deeper, more expression of reality. Like in the crow, he had used the symbol of the crow to depict the reality, to depict that man and crow are one and the same. Okay, as well as reality here can be like he is not using any other bird of beautiful bird, peacock, pigeon, or blah blah blah, but the crow. Okay, so escape as well as sticking to reality, it is happening at the same point of time. And my dear students, always keep it in mind that whatever I have tried to say, that it's sort of a bare skeleton. Okay, it's not the absolute founding truth that I have said. Never take whatever I have said, for whatever I have come out from my mouth as the ultimate truth, but it's a sort of references to that truth figure, because the truth never exists in this world. We are only getting a shadow of the truth, because the meaning essentially differs with situations, with context, with time. Okay, but the as T.S. Eliot says in his poems, Eliot's view is about escape from reality. Ezra Pound is about escape from reality, but Ted Hughes or Philip Larkin, they are more deeply immersed in reality, and they are trying to portray reality in a different way. Okay.
Okay, so we don't have much time left, but still I'll
Yes.
just forward one last question.
Okay.
This is by Riddhi Jain. She is asking, Sir, it sounds like modernism focuses more on individualism. Doesn't that lead to some sense of animosity among people?
Oh, yes. Animosity. Yes, animosity, if I say it's a sort of hatred, but yeah, what you are trying to say, I can understand the selfishness, the individualness. Okay. Uh, but my dear, you have to understand that the modernists, by talking about the individual experiences, they are not trying to sort of breed hatred among others, but rather they are becoming lonelier. Yes, you can say that. It's not, there is a difference between selfish and lonely. Okay, the modernists, I would say that they were becoming more lonelier, they were becoming more isolated, secluded in their thoughts, like what some of us have become right now in this time, in the corona pandemic situation. We have become very very lonely, but it did not exactly bring animosity, selfishness, but we are more lonely, we are more depressed. And the modernists were also feeling the same thing. They were trying to sort of find an answer to their loneliness. Okay, instead of feeling selfishness. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Sunanda, for answering all these questions in
No,
detail.
they were very, very interesting and very
Yes,
thought-provoking questions. Okay, I
yes,
am
some
very
of the questions.
glad that they have asked these questions, because they have thought deeply about it, introspected about it, and they have. I'm successful in triggering the neurons in their brains. Like they have, I can say that I have disturbed them comfortably.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, some of the questions which we could not take up, we are short of time. That's why we could not. But
Okay.
definitely, we'll hold such sessions in the future, and then you can ask your questions to Sir later. So, thank you so much
Yeah.
once again for answering the questions and also enlightening us with so much of information about modernism. Really, it was really enjoyable. The session for me also, as a teacher, even it was a process of revision, and it would help me to further to take classes in a more detailed way, in a more informed way from now onwards on modernism. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, all of you. Okay, it was a pleasure for me as well to interact with all of you and with all the students. I extend my warm wishes to all of you, and I hope that the journey of sailing through this torrid courses of literature will be pleasurable and enjoying for all of you.
Thank you. Now I would hand over the mic to Deepayon for the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Svara. Am I audible?
Yes.
As we come to the end of the two-day curriculum enrichment program from the Department of English in T.H.K. Jain College, I would like to take this opportunity to deliver the vote of thanks. I thank our principal ma'am, Dr. Moushumi Singh Sen Gupta, for her guidance and support. I thank our patrons, Sri Sardar Mal Kankaria, President of Sri S.S. Jain Sabha, Sri Sohan Raj Singhvi, President of the governing body of T.H.K. Jain College, Sri Lalit Kankaria, Secretary of the governing body, and other respected members. I thank our esteemed speaker, Professor Sunayan Mukherjee, for taking out time from his schedule for this program, for this insightful and engaging deliberation on modernism. I'm sure we would all benefit from this. I thank also the faculties of the Department of English, especially the organizing members of the department, Professor Oindrila Sengupta and Professor Swara Thakur, for organizing this program. Last but not the least, I would also thank the students from the first SEM English Honours for their active participation. I'm sure these sessions, these lectures will benefit you not only in this semester, but also for the later semesters. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunayan, for your
Thank you.
time. You
Yeah.
have given time for our students, for this department. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope
And
we meet soon when
sure,
the college will
definitely.
open.
Definitely. All my best wishes to all of you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah. But
Thank you.
before we leave, can we just
Yeah.
take a screenshot, Deepayon?
Okay, just a second.
So students, please switch on your videos for once. Let us see your faces. We'll take a screenshot. Have they switched on their video, Deepayon? You can see
No,
on your.
not yet. Yeah, some of them have. Students, please switch on your videos. Let's take a group screenshot, if we may say it like this. Okay, it's here now. Yeah, it's done.
Done? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. And especially thank you, Shnoenda, for coming and
No.
taking this session.
No, it's a sort of mutual pleasure because every time we get to interact, all of us are usually learning from each other. I always believe that it's a sort of learning process for all of us.
Okay, Sunayan, we expect
Okay.
you basically when the college will open to
Yeah.
deliver another wonderful lecture to our students.
Thank you.
Face to face this time.
Yeah, because that face to face is more interactive and more you can see the reactions. You
Yes.
can sometimes it becomes really boring for all of us to just uh, conjure up an image of someone or something, but face-to-face interaction is always better. So I would definitely look forward to all those sessions in the future. And Swara and Koinzila and Deepayon, you are doing a fabulous job by keeping in touch, doing all these activities together. It's a huge benefit for the students as well, for all of us, that if they can try to assimilate in this learning curve, and the college with its other demands of taking other responsibilities, you are managing to conduct these online classes and lectures in this period. So since I was a part of this process, I know how difficult it is or how cumbersome it is for you to work all together. So you are doing a fantastic job carrying the torch bearer of the legacy of excellence in this institution of T.H.K. Jain College, and I hope that you would do the same in the futures as well. I know pretty sure that this college has become a name in the academic circles in Kolkata by the efforts of all of you. So you would continue with these things in the future as well. It's a wonderful thing to interact and see all of you together.
Thank you, Sunayan, for your kind words. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's really very encouraging. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So stay well, all of you. And so right now we are leaving each other virtually, but we would connect again physically at some point of time later on. Okay, so
Thank you.
Xiao, okay,
Sure.
au revoir.
Yeah. Bye.